Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I'm Adrian Fort, and here with the latest in forensic sciences, as well as the latest computer-generated imaging straight out of Hollywood, I bring to you, and possibly, maybe, in correlation with topcalendars.com or something of the sort, I bring you the TBR for the month of April. The month of April, of course, being National Poetry Month. So there will be, for the second year in a row, a poetry discussion every day here on Strip Cover Lit, sacrificing, by the way, our writer's quote of the month, our short story discussion of the month, and our opening paragraph video of the month. I know, you were greatly looking forward to those things, and that's fine. They will be back next month. None of you watch those things anyway, you ungrateful sons of bitches. Now, look, Fridays, with which we will begin the month, is going to be Robert Frost. Now, every day of the month has a particular theme for the day. Sundays will be Sundays with Sylvia Plath. Mondays will be Mondays with Emily Dickinson. Tuesdays will be Trench Tuesdays, wherein we will read trench poetry and discuss trench poetry from, of course, World War I. Wednesdays with Langston Hughes, Thursdays with William Blake. That's always a good time. And Fridays with the persnickety Robert Frost, leaving, of course, Saturdays to be slumming Saturdays with Charles Bukowski. Look, I'm not sure if you can hear my neighbor's television playing at full blast, but it has certainly been a motivating factor for me lately. On Sundays, Sunday the 3rd, we're going to go through Sylvia Plath's Sundays with Sylvia first. Sunday the 3rd, we will be discussing The Colossus by Sylvia Plath. Then the 10th will be Morning Song. On the 17th will be Tulips. And on the 24th, of course, Daddy. Monday with Emily Dickinson. Monday the 4th will be Because I Could Not Stop for Death, a personal favorite. The 11th will be My Life Had Stood a Loaded Gun, a personal favorite. The 18th will be God Gave a Loaf to Every Bird, a personal favorite. And of course, on the 25th, a personal favorite, A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. If you have not found in your life the time for some Emily Dickinson, you're going to have to fix that. You're going to have to do something more productive with your life. And by more productive, I mean buy an Emily Dickinson compilation. Read those poems. Better yourself. Tuesdays, Dulci et decorum est. I don't know if you knew this, but my Italian is on point. The 12th will be On Receiving News of the War. On the 19th, Absolution. And the 26th, The Soldier. Now, trench poetry is really, really powerful stuff. If you have not taken the time to read any of the trench poets, consider doing so. Consider reading along with me this month. Just Google those titles and trench poem, and I promise those things will come up, those exact literary works. The trench poetry was a reaction to World War I, and especially the nasty sort of warfare that had taken over during that time. And while and whereas war was never particularly, pretty, there was a time where it was considered honorable. There was a time where being some form of quote-unquote warrior possibly and probably assured you a better chance at surviving the war. But I think somewhere around the time of the Civil War, maybe a little bit after the American Civil War, weaponry had advanced to the point where whether or not you could do 100 push-ups in a minute or not that bullet was going through you. And by the time of World War I, it wasn't necessarily even being exposed to bullets that was going to put you down, but breathing itself, and all of the wonderful, wacky trench warfare that came after that. Wednesdays with Langston Hughes. A good Missouri man, by the way, Langston Hughes. On the 6th, we will discuss Mother to Son. On the 13th, the Dreams by Langston Hughes. Now, there's a million different poems from Langston Hughes with dreams in the title. On the 20th, Life is Fine. On the 27th, Honey Babe and Stranger in Town. A two for the price of one. 2 for the price of admission. On the 27th, Wednesday, discussing Langston Hughes. Thursday, William Blake. On the 7th, we'll talk about The Tiger. A particularly lighthearted poem. On the 14th, The Sick Rose by William Blake. Just a laugh riot. On the 21st, London by William Blake, which nothing will make you want to tour the fine city of London quite like William Blake's poetry. And on the 28th, And Did Those Feet in Ancient Time, which is a very light-hearted jaunt down the Christian paradox. Friday, Robert Frost. The 1st, we will have The Axe Helve, which is, of course, from Robert Frost's New Hampshire. All of the poems from Robert Frost here are from New Hampshire. We are continuing that read-through of New Hampshire by Robert Frost. On the 15th will be The Grindstone. On the 22nd, Paul's Wife. And on the 29th, Wild Grapes. Paul's Wife, Wild Grapes sounds like a nasty website, but I promise that's not what we'll be talking about. On the 8th, however, Friday the 8th, we will have the 100th poetry discussion in the poetry discussion playlist here on the channel. So look forward to that. Basically, it'll probably just be me on camera reading some of my favorite poems, which, now that I think about it, that's all I really do in this series anyhow. But in this video, I hope and plan to get around to more than one poem. I'll just turn on the camera and see where I go. Slumming Saturdays with Charles Bukowski. On the 2nd, we'll discuss The Bluebird, which will be probably the 3rd or 4th video in which the Bluebird appears here on the channel. It's a good poem. On the 9th, Batting Slump by Charles Bukowski. On the 15th, The Lady in Red. The 23rd will be How Is Your Heart? And on the 30th, upon reading an interview with the best-selling novelist in our metropolitan daily newspaper. This sort of wacky, long title is something that gained popularity, I would say, in the mid-90s among artists much less talented than Charles Bukowski. And it's sort of heartbreaking to see him. So what I mean by a really long title that tells you everything you need to know about the piece, and then the piece itself is sort of underwhelming from a narrative standpoint. But as Bukowski always does, he brings through the humanity. So that is the month of April 2022, and as always, there is a link in the description below to my personal channel where I will continue the read-through of the Daily Stoic. I am a video behind in that series, but I will get around to making that series whole. And yeah, go follow me over there as well, because that's where I talk about nonfiction. That's where I do movie reviews. That's where I do general sort of YouTube type stuff. And I hope to see you for all of these videos. Here is your reading list for the month of April. Hope to see you there.